Okay, hello. Okay, so after the question on Google Classroom, everybody, well, not everybody, but most people said they were having trouble with the shading or the test point. So I'm going to graph this equation or inequality really quickly, and then I'll go over the test point again and the true and false. Okay, there's my line. It's not a very good line. I tried my best. But it is a dotted line. It's a dotted line because there's no equal to part on my inequality here. It's a less than. If it was equal to, then greater than or equal to, then it would be solid. That means the boundary line, that line is part of the solution. When it's dotted like this, it means that the boundary line is not part of the solution. So that's why it's open. It's an open line, or dotted, or dashed. Now, I'm not really sure where it is that people misunderstand, but the test point is anything you pick. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to go spin around, pretend I'm spinning around. Okay, and now I'm just going to put my finger on the graph, and wherever it lands is the point I'm going to use. Oh my God, I got so lucky. It landed at 0, 2. And that's how I found it. Okay, I didn't do anything special. I just pick any point. Now, you have to remember that the points are X and Y. And when you plug them in, for me, it helps me if I plug it in with parentheses. So instead of the Y up here, I'm going to erase it. Trying to erase it. Instead of the Y there, I'm going to put the new value of 2. And again, this is going to be a greater than symbol. And we talked about how to understand it. So I'm going to make it a Pac-Man. Pac-Man eats the bigger one. We talked about the Pac-Man. I kind of like the Pac-Man thing, so I'm going to stick with it. So there's my Pac-Man. So 2 has to be bigger than what I get on the other side. If it's not, then it's false. So on the other side, I have 1/3 times, now X, I erased the X here, and instead of X, I put 0, which is why I'm really happy that it landed there. So then 1/3 times 0 now is 0. So you get 2 Pac-Man, which is greater than because it's facing this area. I'll make them black and fill them in yellow. And then it's 0 minus 5. Because again, 1/3 times 0 is 0, and then minus the 5. And then 0 minus 5 is minus 5 or negative 5. And I really should get in the habit of doing that better, of calling the negatives a negative. So the question is Pac-Man eating the bigger number? We don't know until we think about it. So we actually have to stop and think. Hey, Pac-Man, we want to make sure you get all the nutrients that you need. Are you eating the bigger number? So is 2, because that's the one he's going to eat, bigger than negative 5? And if you look, if the number's farther to the right, which 2 is here, and negative 5 is here, whatever is the farthest to the right, that's the bigger one. So yes, indeed, Pac-Man is eating the bigger one. This is true, which means this point here that I plugged in is true, which means the side of the line that this point lies on is true. It happens to lie on this side of the line, not the one that's below it. So I'm going to color in all the parts above that line. And then anything below, anything down here in the wide area is false. We don't want that. Okay? And then that's how you check a test point. Okay? So go ahead and pause it now. Try number 2 on your own or relook at it. Well, actually, we did number 2 in class. So go ahead and try number 4. And I'll go ahead and I'll do number 4 too. But try it yourself and then see if you're right. It doesn't hurt. You're at home. Nobody's going to know. I'm not going to know. So just go ahead and try it. Okay, I sure hope that you tried it. I sure hope you paused it. Okay, so just in case you were having trouble solving for Y, I solved it for you really quickly. I'm going to erase it here, but I want to go over it. You always want to add or subtract the x. And if x is positive, we're going to subtract it. And if it's negative, we're going to add it. It's just like solving for any equation. And then the number in front of y, the coefficient, I'm going to divide by it, the whole thing. If it's negative, I'm going to divide by the negative. And we're going to divide everything by it. Okay, because it's like a distributive property. So everything gets divided by -4. And then I'm just going to simplify. This becomes 1. So all I have is 1y right here. And then the number in front of x is a 1. But you have to remember a negative divided by a negative, because they're both negative here. The 1 here is negative and the 4 here is negative. So when I simplify it, because you have to simplify it, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And that's why I got positive 1/4 x here. And then a positive 8 divided by a -4 yields a -2. And that's what I get here. Okay, so I'm going to just rewrite the equation and graph it, and I'll be back soon. So go ahead and see if you can try and graph it. Pause, and then see if you can graph it. Okay, that's the equation again. I'm going to go to -2, dot it. I'm going to go up 1 and then over 4, dot it. If you want to go the other way, down 1 over 4, dot it. And then this one is a dotted line again, or a dash line, because the inequality is just less than. It does not have the equal to part. So when it does not have the equal to part, it is a dotted line. So I'm going to try to dot it much better than the last problem. Just a little better, not much. Okay, again, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to close my eyes, pretend like I'm turning around. It's pin the tail on the donkey. I'm just going to put my pen down. And I did a big circle. So I'm going to choose 2, 7, because it looks more like that's where it's at. And again, you could use any point. And we're going to go over this in class tomorrow. Because there is a couple of points that are much better, and we kind of hinted to that in class. So this is the tricky part. So always go back to the original equation. Don't go back to the one you manipulated. So I'm going to use this equation or inequality here. So x is 2. So instead of that x right there in the beginning, I'm going to put a 2, and I'm just going to write it down here so it doesn't get all over my graph. So it's 2 and then -4. And then y is 7, and then my Pac-Man is facing 8. So I want to make sure that 8 is going to be the bigger one. So my hungry Pac-Man eats the right one. Okay? So 8 has to be bigger. Alright, so I need to do some simplifying here. So I'm going to simplify. So 2, and then I have -4 times positive 7 is a -28, so I have 2 and a -28, and that still has to be the smaller one. I don't like that 8, so it has to be an 8, and then Pac-Man still has to eat the struggling with my 8s, so it still has to be greater than 8. So then now I have 2 and a -28, I subtract, take the sign of the bigger number, so it's -27. And that has to be smaller than my 8. Again, because I have Pac-Man, who is hungry and wants to eat the bigger number. Okay, so he wants to eat this number here. Make him a little bigger here. Alright. So there's my Pac-Man. Now the question is 8 the bigger one? If I were to graph -27, I would be way down there. I'd have to go pretty far to get to 26. And then 8 is over here. So 26 is somewhere way over here, -26, and 8's over here. So 8, the positive one, is bigger. So this one's true. because 8 is bigger than negative 26. So this point is true, which again means everything on this side of the line, the side of the point, is true. Everything on the other side is false. This side is false. So we don't want to do anything with that. We don't even want to shade it. We don't even want to look at it. Those are not the answers. So I hope this helps. If it doesn't help, please ask me in class tomorrow and I'll try to help you again. All right, bye.